Welcome to the Evening Review. My name is Sohana Kache, and joining me in studio is Landless People's Movement National Spokesperson Lifalaza Simataa. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Your party, particularly this week, has been making a lot of headlines. First, there was the report that came out that the two party leaders, Honorable Henny Sebep and Honorable Bernardo Swartboy, are not on speaking terms. And then is the suggestion that was made that there's name calling that is happening, where one of your National Council members, Honorable Harold Kambrude, was called an idiot. I'd just like you to provide some clarity on what is happening within the party.
Yeah. So, as you were saying, for the past, I think, 2 weeks, we've been riddled with rumors and conversations about internal fighting and conflict within the party. And just again, as I stated before and prior, is that it's quite important to note that the party in itself is intact and is not moving and is not having these things. The relationship between the two leaders specifically has been undershadowed and so forth, but they maintain a professional and civic relationship where they continuously work together to push the party forward. Right now, both of our leaders are actively moving motions together. They've been seen together and so forth. In fact, we even had the last year we had our Congress where we solidified that we will want these people to be still our leaders again, and we nominated the top six, our top six to have another term as leaders and so forth. So with the rumors, it's very difficult to navigate because some of the rumors are saying they've been fighting since last September. But then you see communication of them between them happening continuously. You are hearing a rumor that apparently one leader wants to take the other one out, but then they had the opportunity at the Congress, but then they've solidified that they're both going to rule, including the next 4 people for they're extending the founding phase for the next, till the next election, so to say. So I think till 2028?
2029.
2029, yes. So again, these will be our leaders, our deputy and our leaders and our deputy and so forth. So if there was for instance, a demand for power change and so forth, it would have happened at our Congress. And you can see that has happened with other political parties where they have the Congress, the leaders have changed and so forth. It's a voting thing. But unanimously, the party agreed that we want the party structure to remain. We have faith in our party structure. We want them to carry because we're also such a young party and we need the philosophies to be founded and so forth. So this argumentation that they've been arguing since for whenever, but then we continuously see them together. They're continuously working together and so forth. And then there was even claims that Honorable Saber might be boycotting things, but then even he came out to the newspaper, said that the first thing, he had a prior engagement. The second, our biggest event, the 5th anniversary in Tsumeb, he unfortunately had a family member pass away. So he was actually at a funeral. It was not only him, it was him and also our mayor in Ocho, Babelo, who also is relatives with them. They both attended that funeral. So like there was a lot of speculations and drama and all these things. But first of all, we really didn't want to respond to rumors, but we're like, okay, for the safety and the clear-mindedness of our people and so forth, this is the situation. Leader Henny Sebep is not boycotting the party. These are the reasons. The events that you're even mentioning, he was part of the organizing of them and so forth. The leaders are actively seen together. If there was a demand for power or trying to get power from one another, the Congress would have been the perfect place to have done it. It didn't happen again. They solidified each other. They were sitting next to each other. They were laughing. I don't know what more I can say on the matter, to be honest. So it's that continuous element. The only thing that I do think that is worth addressing currently was in the last article. I don't know if you're going to ask me about it. In the Confidante, there was the Nama Party allegation that is the source and so forth. And there seems to be a strife between the journalist and Honorable Henny Sebep, who says that he never said those comments and he was never interviewed by the journalist and so forth. And as a party, we have said that, okay, in this regard, you need to publicly express this because it can't be the party versus the journalist because the party is not the one saying these things and so forth.
Yes, of course.
So yeah, and Honorable Henny Sebep agreed with me. I believe soon he's going to give out a public statement on that to say that he's never expressed that it's a Nama party. And it's also my place to express that also the party is just generally not a Nama party. As you can see somewhere, my surname is there, Simataa. It's not a Nama surname, unfortunately, but also just generally in our capacity, the top 6 barely Nama people. We have 2 Nama leaders. We have a Herero leader in there. We have 2 Vambu leaders and so forth. It's quite a diverse thing when you break it down again. We have councillors from every background. We have white councillors, Basa councillors, Nama, Damara, and so forth. If anything, we're maybe a youth party. That might be where you can accuse us of focusing on a demographic. We've had the youngest mayor. We do have currently the youngest mayor. She's 20, 27 or 26, one of the two, of Miriantel. We've had one of the youngest mayors in the Windhoek, for Windhoek, when we had Miss Sade, Honorable Sade there, and so forth. Tamara Lady speaking also. We have me, Simataa, one of the highest portfolio spokesperson. Before me, Enias Mvula Vambu. Before him, Joyce Herrero. Before and so forth. You can see the diversity within the group and so forth. And also, not to bash Enias, and outside Enias, all of us are young people also,
yes,
another
yes.
thing, except for Enias, but he's young at heart, so it counts. So you have that element. So the party is diverse, and that's something we have to defend. So the only issue there is that miscommunication that seems to have occurred that side. But then, there's that element. That is the only strife that the party has said that, okay, here we want you to pronounce yourself on it. But otherwise, there is no issue within the party.
You didn't address the issue of one of your party leaders and quite a senior figure having been addressed as an idiot.
Oh yes, Leader Komrudi. It's far enough in the article, because I think the article came out this morning.
Yes.
Yes, I was stated in the comment is that first of all, he was not called an idiot. There's that element to it. But I think the more serious claim, which is fair in a regard, is that he expresses that he's been pushed out of the party, or was what is the term he used? Being sidelined. That's the term he used. Let me quote him correctly. And the expression is that he was not being sidelined, but unfortunately he has isolated himself. So it says that his conduct and manner. So this is not on a political level. Political level, he's still fine, he's still maintaining and so forth. But conduct-wise, it has been difficult to work with the individual and so forth. He has been expressed as being rude, dismissive, argumentative, and so forth with the party structure, with the people in the party structures, both community level and that within the structure, unfortunately. He has decided to approach the newspaper on it, so this is just this is the situation we're dealing with. He has never been sidelined or told A, B, and C. Neither has this become a formal complaint and so forth. So it's just been a thing of that difficult characteristics and so forth were just it is what it is type of vibes. Is the expression is that there is no division. He was not insulted. He is not being sidelined and so forth. We are just not communicating as per se because he's difficult to work with. But not unfortunately, that is the sentiment. That is the honesty we have to come with. Is that it's just difficult to work with.
What efforts are being made internally to rectify the situation?
So we didn't realize that the situation was calling so much that it has to go to the press. That's why that was the main issue so far. Is that it was quite alarming that that we got such a report to begin with. And so when you hear these comments and so forth, and you hear these elements, we're like, okay, we have to defend ourselves on a press level. But now internally is that initially he hasn't expressed anything that from his end that that I would like to fix and so forth. In fact, I think even in the newspaper, just to be transparent, he has quoted us multiple times of saying that, you know what, I'm going to resign, I want to be an independent candidate and so forth. And the party has gone like, okay, we'll await the documents and so forth. He has not resigned. So we are in a situation where it's now a conversation of, are you within the party or not? Like, we want to make sure at this element because you have not done anything internal structure wise before going to the press. We have these concerns with these are the first instances of these things being brought up. He was fortunately, before he came into the press, there was conversations with the operative secretaries. They had called him, they had asked him if they're fine and all those sentiments. So that's why we're also quite surprised at these elements of these conversations. So this isn't more of an operative type of situation. We'll see if he's interested. Unless it's again one of those elements where he might be threatening us to resign, then again we're willing to accept that if that's the instance. So the ball is more in his court if he's interested in handling these things within the structure. But the party has maintained that we have not sidelined these individuals and so forth. And when there's gross misconduct, the party has been decisive. You've seen time and time again, we have been able to remove people that go against the party structures or the party politically. We've done it. We've even risked the by-elections for it once with Herky, Bitboy, and so forth. And so that's where we are as a party. But more so, it's also election season. So it's one of the things that you have to inform us on where you stand at this point. So structural wise, it will be for the Honorable to tell the party where he stands at this element. The party is held aback by the comments that he made, but we have expressed our stance on it. We'll see where then again it goes from there.
Just a quick one, because before we head into a break, I think it's necessary that I throw this one to you. There's this talks that the two party leaders at top structure, and I'll move on from this topic now, but I think I need to labor on it. The suggestion that they are not on speaking terms. Can you provide clarity, and also in terms of how you see all of this infighting affecting the LPM, the image?
Okay, so the speaking terms is a quick one. They do speak, so they are on speaking terms. I think the difference and so forth is the idea is that the party throws back is that to what degree do people want us to like respond to this move further? As like if I say that they are actively seen at parliament together, they're actively working on things together, they sit next to each other, they are speaking, and then people are just like, no, but we want more. I'm like, what more should I show you conversations or transcripts and so forth? So there's that element to it. I think the idea behind that is sorted. But moving as the party, the reason why actively you've seen since the first article, we were a bit lackluster in responding to it because it was rumors and so forth. But as it seems to be gaining traction and so forth, it's quite important that we address this because not only does it seem that I think other narratives are being pushed in because before it was just, are the party leaders okay? But now it's also, oh, you are Nama party and you're A, B, and C, which is not good for us now. That's an accusation on the party. Before that, it seems to be an accusation on the relationship between the two leaders. And I think politics-wise, you don't need to be friends and so forth. I don't see anyone else asking whether or not if Vanani and his VP are friends or if Hage and Triple N were friends and all those aspects. So as long as the party as a whole is maintained and is strong and so forth, which we've actively shown by solidifying our Congress, by growing as a party, by getting numbers at Tsume, we're actively growing as a party. All of them have anticipated. But sorry, I think the last part was just saying, how does this impact us? This is why we're having these conversations and these interviews for transparency. Because not only do we believe that the general public should know, but LPM voters who read the articles should be aware because they also, it's not that they are afraid to leave the party, but they're like, is our party strong? Is our party solid? And that's what my job is to do, is that the party is solid. The party is fine. There's no fraction. There's no team A, team B. There's no division in that element and so forth. We are a unit. We continue with everything that we're doing to progress within the elections and to prepare ourselves because we believe we have so much momentum and we will grow from where we started as a party. As a novice party, we did extremely well the first election. 4 seats in the parliament, 6 in the council, and all those lovely things. 65 councillors, basically secured the south. Now we're getting traction. Tsume, where we did poorly, we actually had a great crowd on our 5th anniversary. It was a huge amount. Even we were held back by it and so forth. So we can see that people are believing in the ideology. And that's a momentum that we can't allow rumors to break down and so forth.
Okay. Continue more with our conversation, but we'll shortly go for a commercial break.
Let me quickly show you something. Don't worry. Next time, I check nice.
Thanks, but it's okay. FNB Insurance checks nicer.
At FNB Insurance, we provide cover for all your valuables. From your phone, to your laptop, to your car. FNB Insurance. You value it, we cover it. T's and C's apply.
Welcome back. Now, Lifalaza, there was a significant development this week, particularly has to do with the town council that you guys are administering, Karasberg. Urban and Rural Development Minister Erastus Zutwani suspended the entire town council. Is this not an indictment on perhaps the style of leadership within the LPM, particularly in the South?
No, fun enough, even with that conversation, we believe, if anything, this speaks on the minister's view of his job and how to do it objectively. And we find it a bit problematic is that when you have this situation, so in the Karasberg situation currently, you have the biggest accusation is that the changing of the signatories within the council. So what happens is the original signatory was the CEO, and he was suspended, or she. The gender I forgot. He also was suspended. Now, in order for payments to be occurring and so forth to the bank account of the council and so forth, the signatory had to sign off those payments. So because the person was under suspension and so forth, they were not functioning within the workplace. Payments were pending with all the relative things that happened, people, the debts and so forth. So there had to be a temporary change. The temporary change was in the the new CEO and so forth, to ensure that there was transition, a smooth transition of a transaction within the party and so forth. This conversation had a back and forth between. So there was a letter written by the minister. There was a letter in response to say this is the reason, and a back and forth ensued and so forth. At level best, as we had anticipated, because this conversation already started last year, at level best, this is an administration issue. It's not even a corruption issue and so forth. It's whether or not they were supposed to be put themselves or someone else as a signatory to ensure these things and so forth. Again, there was no, the amount that is being expressed exceeded is not true also and so forth. It was again to ensure that there was a smooth transition. So much so that this became a case in the court, which is being handled by the court, and the judgment has not been presided. If the judgment has been presided that the accusations are of the magnitude that it is, we understand then for the minister to establish this stance and so forth. But that no judgment has been claimed and so forth in that element. Again, haphazardly, he does not inform the minister, the council that this is what's happening. They find out through audio or through expression, verbal expression and so forth. No written letters, no anything and stuff like that. Again, going against the protocols and so forth. Again, why we express such a haphazard movement, because again, what are the stances of the suspension? What are the terms of it and so forth? These things are not there, and so these sentiments are not there. And then lastly, thirdly, is that I think we also expressed it last year, but it was also expressed just, I think, in the same article by our leader in the policy unit, is that the minister is also moving in a direction and so forth where you can see there is a constant bashing or obsession with the LPM leaders and so forth, where you have leaders that of other regions and so forth in capacities who are exploiting such things, where you hear that you have councillors and so forth who don't even reside in the places that they're supposed to govern and so forth. You have councillors that are misusing funds actively and so forth in that regard. You have councillors that are not employing their work, where you even hear community outcry and so forth. You hear this all around and so forth. Those things till to date are not addressed. But this administrative issue on whether or not people are supposed to be paid and so forth, since last year, where it even received a court case, is being pushed through, and we feel like there's a adamant attack on or obsession. Let me go with obsession before I go on obsession with LPM. More so, you can also see this is strategically or continuously being done, where we question the minister, because just last year when the budget was released from the rural and urban. It's most rural and urban, right?
Yes. No, urban and rural.
Urban. I knew. I was like, the letters are not. So you see the budget where each town council and so forth get a budget and so forth for land servicing, sanitation, and all those things. For land servicing, Swakopmund received $3,000. Keetmanshoop, I think 6 or 9. It was within that region and so forth. Less than $10,000. But then you have regions that are governed by SWAPO government and so forth, 12 million, 32 million, all these other types of millions amount. Now we begin to ask the questions. It was even posed in Parliament where we asked, what was the rhetoric or the merit that you use to decide that Keetmanshoop only deserves $6,000 for land servicing? And I don't know, for those who are learned, land servicing does not cost 6,000. Like it's an insult of an amount. Till this day, he has not responded on to that and so forth. And that's conversation. We continue the conversation to ask that. How is it? And it seems so blatant. So before we even accuse it of being a political strategy, it's like we asked again, what are the merits? What is the calculation? What's the formula you use that is said that, you know what, Swakopmund only needs $3,000 for land surveying? Just tell us how you got to that. Why does Keetmanshoop only need 3 and so forth? But you hear other regions are getting multi-million dollars amounts for land surveying and so forth. It becomes, and then even when you think of it scientifically and so forth, the land is a bit more difficult in these other areas. They actually need more money, but they don't even get $1 million. There's that element. 2, you see sanitation problems and issues are high in areas, just to make it out of LPM situation. Kavango, highest region with poor sanitation. They need sanitation assistance and so forth. They are not even top 4 of allocated budget of sanitation funds for that and so forth. That is under his department. Again, we ask these questions. There are no responses and so forth. So we're saying that it seems, or the expression seems that we, the LPM, are the bad people and he's just doing his job, but he's not doing his job anywhere else besides this thing that is an administrative issue at best. So we find that problematic, and we believe that shows there's some sort of foul play, if not obsession with the situation, because I think even his response in the article was that they've never reported to him, but every Every letter he sent, there was always a reaction response to say, this is the reason we did this for A, B, and C reasons. This CEO is suspended because of A, B, C reasons. We need to make these payments and so forth. So you can see there's a problem within the structure. He expresses he never received these letters, but adamantly he's been CC'd in these letters. The letters exist and so forth. Even we are aware of these letters, so we find that problematic. So with that issue, we're hoping that it unfolds in that matter. The court case rules in our favor, then evidently what we're saying is justified in all those elements. The leaders on the ground, I believe, expressed that they'll be putting out a statement. I don't know if the statement's out yet, but there should be a statement on the ground that will give you more detailed versions of basically what I'm expressing, because this is the Windhoek version of what we've heard and so forth. Yeah. So there's that element to it. So you have those discussions and those conversations. And so that is also just to have our listeners see what it is that we're up against when it comes to, we are not just being difficult individuals. This is the situation. So think of it within that context, is that how is the council then supposed to make the payments and function if the CEO that was supposed to sign off is suspended, or for the reason, for alleged reasons that are dubious and so forth, and then the new person can't even sign off for these things? How is the council supposed to function and move forward as a council? That is quite important as a narrative. And that's why we say there's that administrative gap within that element. There is no corruption, there is no A, B, and C and so forth. And in fact, when people are saying that they're not providing services, how could they if they couldn't get the signature to begin with? You see. So there's that element. But yes, I digress. There was another question.
Now the former Tsumeb mayor, former deputy minister Engel Nawati Seb joined LPM. Firstly resigned from SWAPO, joined LPM, and then in a rush left the party again.
So it depends on who you're listening to in that story. He says, I believe there's one of these press statements said he never left SWAPO.
Yeah.
He never left SWAPO. So what is the question actually?
Is he a bona fide member of the LPM? Because he claims that he never belonged to the LPM.
Bona fide is such a strong word. He was a member of the LPM. He signed the membership form. He has a membership card with a serial number and everything. He signed it in January when he was joining the party. As far as I understand, also for clarity on the matter, but we also don't want to seem like bitter people, because we're not. For clarity, Angel approached us in the beginning of the year, end of last year, saying that he believes in what LPM stands for, a youth party. This will be one of the Honorable Swart will be one of the youngest candidates for presidency and so forth, a youth leader that he himself has worked with in their non-so years and so forth, and climbing up the ranks of SWAPO. So he can trust in the ability of of our leader. Our leader was adamant that we also understand that it's election years. Are you fishing for a position and so forth? That was the honest conversation. Angel was adamant that no, he believes in what LPM stands for. He wants to help mobilize in Tsumeb and so forth, because that's where he's from, and he has capital there. His name means something that side. He would like to ensure that Tsumeb is one of the places that we do well with, and he wants to join the party. Also strategically to look good because he was a deputy minister and so forth. So this was the goodwill argument that we were presented with, and we've accepted it as that. We had our 5th anniversary in Tsumeb, which was unrelated to the matter, but we had it in Tsumeb. Things were mobilized, the crowd was good and so forth. We introduced him, as you know, he joined the party. He gave the closing closing remarks and so forth. We know the party as well and so forth. Later, we hear with the rest of the public and so forth, because before the operative secretary could even tell the internal structure, Angel had released his statement to the public that he's resigned and so forth. I remember even I reached out and was like, oh, is this true? Because anyone can take a picture and say A, B, and C. There's no signature on this. And he was adamant it was true. We're like, okay. His reasons were, apparently we offered him a job. There was no portfolio offered. There was no job offered. We did not approach the man approached us. And so forth. And we were happy to take it. We don't shy away. Our LPM is open to everyone and anyone. Former SWAPO members, former SWANU members, IPC members. If you reside with the philosophy and the policy of LPM, you are welcome to join us. We welcomed him and so forth, but there was no favor or gain. There was no you must join us and we'll make you mayor or anything like that. There was no conversation, there was no portfolio, there was no we're adding you anywhere and so forth. So to hear that he said he was offered a job, we are also surprised. In fact, other LPM members were upset. They were like, but why aren't we being offered these jobs? And so we're like, well, there was no jobs being offered.
Okay.
In that sentiment. And so you have that. And I feel, unfortunately, why I also don't want to speak on this merit is that the man is showing his colors himself. He was publicly at the press conference and in newspaper articles expressing why we are the party of choice and so forth. And in the new press release, he's never left SWAPO, why SWAPO is the greatest thing on earth and so forth. And I think, as I said, he can sing and dance for whoever is paying him and so forth. If IPC decides to probably offer him a job, he might say the same thing. Aitula has been his man forever and so forth. Unfortunately, we can't say anything about that. If he has the right of association. If he's leaving a party, he's leaving a party. He gave an official resignation. We've accepted it and so forth. It's politics.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
That concludes the evening review for today. Good night.